So, welcome to Pioneer Lions. What is today? 23rd, June 23rd. Month number 4, whatever, in our quarantining. Anyway, do we have any guests today besides guest speaker? No. Okay. As far as for announcements, just a reminder that Thursday, the 25th, is our board meeting, and we'll be sending out the link for that probably Wednesday, I think, or Thursday morning.
At noon.
At noon. Thursday at noon. I have sent out the agenda twice, and so if there's anybody that needs to have something on there, you need to make sure that you let me know beforehand so that we can. I have very little to go over, so it's kind of a way to end the it's my last meeting, so it's be the way, yeah, it'll be the last one. So I've only got
you made it.
Things on there. It's gonna be short and sweet, and then we have my very last meeting is the 30th, next Tuesday. So then it's all Darlene. Darlene, looking forward to having you on.
Don't have any audio.
Don't have any audio. Hi, Pat. We hear you. As far as for announcements, does anybody have any announcements that they need to share or anything? I'm looking for Cindy.
No Cindy yet, but I have an announcement.
Sure.
If somebody would like to go on a real visitation to a real club that is having a meeting next Tuesday morning, 8 a.m. I'm presenting some certificates at the Vancouver Dawn Lions, who happen to be meeting in Le Centre. So if anybody wants to join me on that visitation, let me know. You have to get up early, by the way. That's my announcement. Anybody else have a hand up for announcement? I'm looking around. Let me see. Bill is scratching his head. Okay, that's not an announcement. Ken, no announcement. Jessen's no announcement. I'm just looking through here. Okay, Jessen. Mask is unmuted. There you are.
Saturday, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Saturday over at Farmers Market, we're going to be taking the chuck wagon over. We're going to be doing hamburgers and hot dogs. And if you are a worker, you can go in the main parking entrance and then go around behind to the left of the vendors to make it down by the chuck wagon to park down there. I guess it's getting a little too chaotic for the farmers market for us to keep opening that gate in the back there by the wagon where the wagon's going to be. So, and this time, rather than just me calling people, if you're interested in doing a shift over there, send me a text and give me either a morning or afternoon, and hopefully I got enough people that I can put you where you would like. So my number is 360-355-4575. And I usually try to finalize that by about Thursday afternoon. So don't panic if I don't get back to you right away. Thank you.
How many people do you anticipate that you need?
Probably 10 or 11. We have to staff inside the wagon as usual, and we're going to have the water outside with somebody manning the station because people can't reach in and grab their own beverage. So then we're going to have a grill outside cooking the hamburgers, and then we'll move them inside into heating pans and then serve them from there.
You won't be using the chuck wagon's grill then?
No. The main thing over there is power. We don't have any source of power to run the wagon, but we've checked it out, and with the generator we can pretty much run everything. The only thing we can't run with everything running is that big exhaust fan. So rather than not be able to use that thing. We've got the portable grill from the other Lions that we used last Saturday. Works great, same size. So we'll just move them inside to sell them. And we've got enough power in our generator to run everything we need. So we're set.
And what's the time on that again, Bob?
Well, it starts at 9 and runs to 2, but I think we're probably going to go over about 8:30 and try to sell biscuits and gravy to all the vendors, because there's nothing for food in the morning, and coffee. We'll sell coffee, hot chocolate, tea, and then about 10 o'clock we'll switch over to the burgers and hot dogs.
Okay. That's this Saturday.
Yes.
Okay. Great. And you were there on the last Saturday with hot dogs and some stuff. How'd that go? Oh, you're on mute.
It was pretty slow. The weather was crummy, and a lot of people don't know we're going to be over there with hamburgers and hot dogs, so they eat, like 9 o'clock before they go over, and so they're not hungry, and it's going to take a while for them to realize that we're going to have the hamburgers and hot dogs over there. So and we're going to take the wagon. That's one of the reasons we're taking the wagon. We had canopies last Saturday, and they don't really know that the Lions are doing hot dogs and hamburgers. So if we take the wagon and park it sideways at the end of the vendor row, I think we can draw some more attention, and I'm going to have the lady that's in charge of the market put out a little bulletin that we're going to have biscuits and gravy before they open at 9 o'clock. So that's what we're planning on.
So I think I saw Gordy and Marilyn with hands up, and Carrie Ann. So which one, Leroy?
I think Carrie Ann was first. It's the first one I saw.
Okay.
You're muted, Carrie Ann. There you are.
There you are.
I was just wondering if someone could do a Facebook post where we could share that Facebook post that we're going to be there.
Good idea.
That gets the information out to a lot of people quick. So
Yeah, Cindy Fickett's been doing that, I think, and I don't see her on today. If she's hiding on another page. But yeah, that would be a good idea.
Next, we have
Gordy. How about Gordy?
Yeah. Popcorn. Are we going to pre-make it, bag it the day before? What's the scenario? Or is it something we're forgetting about?
You muted, Bob.
For the Saturday farmers market, last I heard there was going to be popcorn made by us. And is that no longer an issue?
Are you talking caramel corn or are you talking popcorn?
He's muted.
He's muted again. I thought I could unmute people. There you are.
Okay. I was under the assumption, well, according to Cindy's email, that she said caramel corn was going to be made, but and Bob, Louie, and Tom said that we were going to make popcorn at the shop and bag it up and take it on Saturday. We couldn't make caramel corn and kettle corn because of the woman that has first rights on it. Is anything changed, or is that just was talk that I shouldn't have heard?
Unmute. Come on, Bob. Unmute. There you are.
That was just an idea that was tossed out. We aren't going to be doing popcorn or kettle corn over there. We can't do the kettle corn, and I don't know if popcorn would be worth giving it a try. So we're just going to concentrate on the hamburgers and the hot dogs and biscuits and gravy.
I was just trying to get all communication clear. Thank you.
Thanks, Gordon. Marilyn.
I just had a question. I thought we weren't able to eat on premise. You're selling it to go, or are people able to eat?
You muted yourself again, Bob.
According to their rules, they can eat on site.
Oh, okay, so,
Yep.
So you
We qualify.
cool.
We can put out tables. Last time we put out some chairs, and I think we'll probably still put out some chairs and like space them in a circle about 6 feet away off to the side of the wagon so they can have some place to sit down and eat. We don't want to put a table out. You put a table out after everyone gets through. You got to go over and clean the table. It just
Right.
I'd rather take the hamburger in the bag and walk down through the other vendors and eat it on the way heading to the car. So,
Thank you.
Phil.
I just wanted to give a heads up to folks that go online to make committee reports. LCI has changed the information that they ask for in committee reports, and so as a result, what I'm getting from committee chairs is far more than I am able to enter into my line. So Cheryl Coast and I are working on revising the committee report form. So if you're entering a fundraiser, you fill out one form. If you're entering a service project, you enter a different form. Anyway, when it's all done, and it should be done in the next week, it'll be much easier for you committee chairs to report your committee work.
Thanks, Phil. Okay. Are there any other announcements that need to be for right now? Okay, Larry, Mr. Hanson, I don't see you, but I know you're there somewhere. There's just a lot of different pictures of people. Would you like to introduce the guest speaker?
We'll give it a try.
Okay, it's all yours.
Mr. Dave LaFave is with us today, and kind of known around the community. He's been here a while, serving with the fire district, keeping us safe. And so the first responder and somebody kind of is in charge of keeping up with the COVID situation in the Cowlitz County. I asked him to come and talk to us about what's going on and where we're at here. So I thought that might be something of interest for all of us. Dave, yours.
Okay.
Unmute yourself and you're ready to go.
I think I'm unmuted.
You are.
Yeah. This is not the best forum for me to speak in. I'm not technology savvy, so I have got a few laps out of watching some of the shenanigans here because I'm a guy that forgets to unmute myself and I can't always control what's happening with the camera and stuff like that. So if things start happening behind me for some reason, we'll just go on about our business and as if nothing's happening. So I talked a little bit to Larry. Well, we emailed a little, and he said, what's going on with COVID. So I thought I'd kind of describe what's happened from when this started and where some of the confusion lies and some of the issues. I guess I'd kind of think of them as frequently asked questions. And then some of the things that we see that maybe stem from, there's so much information at times, it's hard for people to sort out what's accurate and what isn't accurate. So I'll just talk a little bit about that. First of all, one of the things that happened in our county on March 16th, so early on, was a decision was made to organize as an entire county under what we call the incident command system. And the benefit to that is instead of operating like actually more than 6 separate jurisdictions for certain elements of responding to issues related to COVID, we operate like one entity. And when there's an emergency declaration, first of all, they have to be declared at the local level. Then that goes to the county level, or city or county, and then up to the state level, which then goes to the federal level. for emergency declarations. That allows us to work as one entity for all of the agencies that sign on and choose to work that way. In our case, as a county, every city and the county signed on to a delegation of authority that authorized me as an incident commander with a team that's operating all on behalf of all 5 cities and the county, which also then includes fire districts, in this case, healthcare workers, and a lot of other organizations. And some might ask what the benefit of that is. Well, it's not that suddenly I'm in charge of the county. I accept some level of responsibility to do work that we're asked to do on behalf of those agencies. We work for those agencies. So it's not like we're going to go take over a small island or a small country or something and pull a coup of some kind. We only have the authority that's given to us by those agencies, whether it's the smaller cities, the larger cities, Longview and Kelso, or the county. It's a pretty standard way to operate in our country, actually, even in a lot of other countries now. It's a civilian or domestic form of command and control that was developed from a military model. We use it on large wildfires. We've used it on other types of pandemics, H1N1, certainly any other kind of disaster, landslides, floods. I've actually been involved in this for most of my career and have had the opportunity to travel to disasters all around the country and even some off the mainland, including like the Leilani Estates volcanic event on the Big Island of Hawaii, and where we use this form of command and control to bring organization and efficiencies to operations that are more large scale, that affect more than just one agency. So that's a pretty quick overview of that. So in the process of receiving that delegation of authority, the things that we were asked to do, the primary things were, number one was to try to manage public information. And that is a huge undertaking in this day and age of social media. It's nearly impossible to get correct information out before incorrect information is out. In fact, we almost have to have, we have a group of people that simply, I guess I would use the term, mine social media. They're searching different forums of social media to find what incorrect information that's out, and then we try to work through a single point of information through what we call a Joint Information Center, a JIC, to put out one common message that is correct. And in this case, a lot of our information is based on the CDC and the State Department of Health as it relates to COVID-19. So our JIC, or Joint Information Center operation, has been very robust, and Chief Ralph Herrera from Kalama Police has been our primary PIO, our information officer, and he has been extremely active and had a group of folks working with him in that environment, just trying to keep up on a daily basis with accurate information. Another operation that we've been managing, and I guess just to give you a little bit of reference, we've been operating now under this configuration. It'll be 100 days on Thursday of this week. And so the people that are involved with this team come from a lot of different agencies in the county and have all committed to be a part of this on behalf of all of the entities that I talked about. So as an example, the Deputy Incident Commander is Captain Huda, Robert Huda from the Longview Police Department. Our plans chief was first Darren Ullman, the undersheriff, and is now Ernie Schnabler, our director of emergency management. Our finance section has been a person from our agency, but led by a person from the county administration building. So it's quite a diverse group. And all of these folks have been committed to working on behalf of all of the agencies and not just representing their own agency. So one of the other issues that we have, and I think most people have heard a lot about, is the issues related to personal protective equipment. And that is a huge issue because, for instance, we're supporting about 4,000 first responders and healthcare workers in Cowlitz County. So all of the healthcare facilities, extended care facilities, first responders, both law enforcement, fire, EMS, all of the agencies. And just to give an example, people say, well, you know, a lot of people think once we're issued personal protective equipment, we're good to go. But we have to throw it away after every single call. So everything that we wear except the mask on a call, which for us are APRs, air purified respirators, for some they're N95s. The N95s have to be thrown away or decontaminated. The APRs that our folks wear, they actually last for a year. We got into that pretty early on. So we go through a huge volume in this county of gowns, masks, gloves, face shields, eye protection, all of those things, because after every call, they have to wear new PPE or sterilized PPE, because if we wear the same stuff to the next call, we risk contaminating wherever we go and or contaminating our own people. We as an agency, just as an example, we run about, on average, about 20 calls a day. We send one person in to see what the issue is. Once that person goes in and the rest of the crew comes in, we can have as many as 6 to 8 people that are wearing PPE, depending on what the issue is. And then they have to dispose of that PPE at the end of that call, and get reissued personal protective equipment to be prepared for the next call. So if on average 4 people use their PPE on each call, that's about 80 sets of PPE a day that just our folks are going through on a lot of these incidents. So we have been managing a warehouse operation that brings PPE in, masks, gowns. Early on, we had to come up with our own stuff. The supply train was broke. It was not providing any supplies. So what I instructed our people to do was act like pirates. Whatever that means, go out, be pirates, figure things out, problem solve. And actually we became very independent, not dependent on the state or federal government or other suppliers. We were inventing, in some cases, our own stuff and coming up with ways to provide PPE for the responders and healthcare workers in our county. Since then, the supply train has started to pick up. And we do receive regularly supplies from the state through the State Emergency Operations Center, and so we manage that supply warehouse locally, so that agencies aren't all competing with different providers and vendors to provide those resources. The other thing that's happening is the prices have gone up a lot, as you can imagine. I dealt with a similar issue in 2005 when I was at Hurricane Katrina. We were managing, I was responsible for a certain area down there, Hancock County, Mississippi, and local vendors were jacking the prices up incredibly. And in fact, what ended up happening was the state of Mississippi passed a law, an emergency law, that said, if we suspect you're doing this, we're going to arrest you first, and then we're going to figure out if that's what you were doing. And if that's what you were doing, then you're going to stay arrested. If that wasn't what you're doing, then we're going to work backwards from there. We haven't seen anything to that extent, but the annual cost for agencies for what has been normally budgeted to buy personal protective equipment has gone up exponentially. And that's having a huge impact. So without the emergency declaration, we don't have access to those resources and supplies from the state. So that's a critical part of what we're doing. So with that, the third thing that we've been doing is what we call educate and inform. A lot of people have felt, or I guess the word I would use to be truthful is somewhat accuse us of enforcement. We have not enforced any closure on anybody. By that I mean we've not sent law enforcement or any other regulatory agency to close, stop, cease and desist, take any formal action against anybody or any business in this county. What we do is we contact those areas where there's a question, or they contact us. We try to clarify for them what the proclamation is from the governor, try to provide the correct information. We try to give them information where they can follow up. And we work very, very hard not to be in a situation where we're enforcing something that is extremely difficult at best to enforce. That would be a very difficult and tenuous position to be in. So those are the things, primary things that we work on. We track all the costs so that we know at the end of this what it's cost each individual agency and location. So that in the event, which there is now an opportunity to recover some costs, which is going to be important, especially for agencies that are seeing significant increases in their costs to respond. A little bit about COVID, and then I think the best thing I can do is probably give you guys a chance to ask some questions. A little bit about the disease. I get asked this a lot is, or I hear this statement is that it's the same as the flu. COVID is not the same as the flu. In fact, if from a scientific standpoint, it's two different viruses. But just a little bit of statistics that really separate the two that I think is important. And I'll just talk about numbers in the U.S. Out of 2.5 million people who have tested positive with COVID in the U.S., 120,402 have died. For the flu season from about October 1 of last year to April 31st of this year, in the United States, there was 56 million people who were considered positive with influenza. And of that 56 million, 62,000 died. So COVID is, this is how I put it, is harder to get, but the mortality rate is much higher. So the mortality rate for COVID is a little over 5%. The mortality rate for influenza is less than 1%. Influenza is much easier to get, but the likelihood of having serious complications is much lower, and the mortality rate is much lower. So that's really the issue that we're dealing with. Currently, we have requested from the state approval to move into what we call a modified phase 3. Because we've seen such an increase in the rate of positive COVID incidents, that's one of the markers. 25 cases per 100,000 in 14 days is one of the critical markers to move to phase 3. We're well over that, but there are other mitigations that can be applied, and we've been working on those. Our local health and human services agency and our local doctor, Dr. Krager, they have done incredible work with all of this. I think the issue that began to develop at Foster Farms is a good indicator of that. As a team, when we first got notice of a possible case at Foster Farms, we had a plan already in place. We implemented that plan immediately. Foster Farms was very cooperative. In fact, they immediately themselves invested over $40,000 in safety procedures on their plant site. And frankly, the end result was it was a very minimal issue. And we've moved well past that when we've seen a lot of places near us, a lot of processing plants of different kinds that have ended up being closed down and had serious issues related to similar situations. So I think we've worked through a lot of that stuff. Our folks have worked really hard with contact tracing and mapping. We continue that work. As of today, we're at 152 cases. The paper probably listed something, or the news 6 less than that. So that'd be what, 152. So 146 was probably the last number a lot of you saw, but we've had 6 more cases that have been identified since yesterday for today. So that's breaking news that you're all getting. That's where it's probably not even out yet. So it's been an interesting thing to be involved with. It's certainly not over. One of our biggest concerns is with this nice weather. People want to be out. They want to be more involved in things. That certainly increases risk. However, I have to say in our county, ultimately, people have been very good about following the guidelines, obviously, because we are only at 152 cases, and there's a lot more activity all the way around us with the larger counties that we border. So I think we're in a good spot. We need to stay vigilant and continue to do the things that we've been doing. So I guess I'd open it up if anybody has any questions.
Hey, Dave, Dave, on your PPE expenses, are you open or in need of any grants? We have an ability, and we have 7 days to do it, to get up to a $10,000 grant with PPE things.
So we're always open to stuff like that. The county primarily has fronted the funding for most everything that we've been doing as a team. So far, we've been able to offset most of that by finding grants of different types. So if you get some information to me, Hal, we meet on Thursday, and I can try to move that forward through the local Department of Emergency Management.
Okay. We have June 30th deadline to get our application in. So if you can find out sooner what it might be, so I can get my board to approve it, we can go forward.
Okay. I'm writing a note to myself here. Okay. I think that's Ken's hand I see.
Yep.
Ken. Go ahead.
You know, Hal, I appreciate that. One thing that might speed things up for Dave, Mark Kelsch is a member of Dave's team, and he can work with Al and Dave to get that moving a lot faster to get it going. I don't have a question, but I just do have a comment. For those of you that don't know Dave LeFave, this is a man that has had Cowlitz County safety and well-being in consideration, and he's done an awful lot of work to make things happen. And if you look at what's going on with this virus situation we're going through, for him to put together this team and to put together the opportunity we have to be a safer county than a lot of the counties in the state goes back to his dedication to what we as the people of Cowlitz County really need. Dave, deepest heartfelt thanks. I've known you for ages. You've done a terrific job wherever you've gone and whatever you've done. And thank you for keeping us in the limelight of the picture.
Well, those are very kind words, Ken. I'm humbled by that. I appreciate that. And on behalf of the team, and a little bit backing up what Ken said as a county, for you folks, for all of us as a community, most of my peer group around the state spent the first month and a half arguing about who was going to be in charge. A lot of them called us because we immediately moved forward and started leaning forward on response and resolving issues. And that has not been the case in Cowlitz County. We have had no issues about fighting over who's in charge and who owns it. So that's been very good. And thank you, Ken, for saying those kind of things. Whoever has a hand up there, go ahead and ask.
Yeah. Hi, yeah, this is Phil Olson, Dave. I appreciate your comments. I've been very curious in recent times as the amount of testing has gone up. One of the statistics we don't see is a comparison of how many people who test positive are symptomatic. Early on in this whole thing, virtually everybody who was reported as a coronavirus case was symptomatic. And now that we're testing, we're finding people who carry the virus and may or may not be experiencing the disease. So I was just curious if you had a comment about that.
Well, you're right about it's hard to nail down those statistics. That's very true. But just to give you some that are more anecdotal, as an agency, in our agency, we sent 70 of our people out of about 110 went and had the antibody test because we were trying to verify some of that or have some indication of that within our own agency as responders. Not one of our people tested positive for the antibodies, and a number of our folks had been extremely sick early on this year in January and February, and there was several that I thought for sure would be positive with the antibodies, and they were not at all. So the other thing is Foster Farms, I think, is a good indicator. We tested well over 200 people there, and we ended up, I think it was with a total of 14 cases that were somehow associated to that. So I guess what I'm trying to say is where I myself thought there might be more people that are not showing, that are asymptomatic, that are out and about. So far from the testing, what we've seen is that's not necessarily the case. But that is data that we're trying to develop, and we do not have a good mechanism yet to develop that data. Cheryl?
Yes, Dave. I read something yesterday about a possible grassroots 4th of July festival in Longview. Is that just an untrue rumor, or do you know anything about that?
I think it's a true rumor. I think it's a correct rumor. There is an event, a group of folks that are talking about an unsanctioned event happening on the banks of Lake Sacagawea on the 4th of July. I know the Longview Police Department is gathering intel, a term we use to develop information and see what the, how much truth there is to that, what the potential is. We've heard a number of things like Lee Greenwood was going to be here, and there's a lady that does some speaking. I think it was Candace something or other that was going to be here, and we found that those are seem to be not true. However, it does sound like there's momentum to have some type of a gathering at Lake Sacagawea, but that is not a sanctioned gathering at this time, and we do not have much in the way of details on that. Okay, any other questions? Okay. Well, I appreciate the opportunity to be with you guys and not with you at the same time, to be with you on camera. And just, I guess the last thing I would like to say is a couple things. Number one, outside of COVID, on behalf of Cowlitz 2 Fire and Rescue, we've had great support from the community. And we just recently opened 2 new fire stations that were supported by our taxpayers and citizens. And we've had the opportunity now to staff in areas that we typically did not have full-time staffing. One of the results of COVID is we were not able to have an open house at those stations and invite people into it. But I would want to take this opportunity to thank folks. We've had great support from the community, and our folks are working hard and responding to a lot of calls. But we feel grateful that we have extremely good equipment and facilities to operate out of, and that's a great thing for our folks to be able to be stewards of that on behalf of the citizens in our community. And the last thing I'll tell you is I tentatively am retiring in April of next year. So one of our main goals in this process with COVID has been to train people to function in this way should we have similar events in the future. And you guys, all of us as citizens, have a great core group of younger folks that are coming up and believe in what they're doing in public safety in all disciplines of response, fire, police, EMS, health. They believe in what they're doing on behalf of the citizens, and they're really right-minded to it. So when you see some of those folks around in our community, take an opportunity to say hi and maybe just say you appreciate what they're doing. It goes a long way. So, and I want to thank you all, and I wish you all well, and please stay safe.
Thank you, Dave. Okay, as we get ready to wrap up here, a reminder, this coming Saturday, Farmers Market, the chuck wagon will be out and operational from 10 to 11. Bob says be there about 9 o'clock.
Yeah.
Be there about 9 o'clock. Yeah, but it's need 10 to 11 people, and it's 9 to 2. Text Bob, let him know that you're going to be there if you can attend. And do you want me to go ahead and give your number out, Bob? 360-355-4575, and send Bob a text and let him know that you'll be there. And again, that's at the farmers market over there across the street from the fairgrounds. And it might be good weather for a change. Also a reminder, this Thursday is board meeting, Thursday at noon. Cindy will be sending out the link for that, probably Wednesday or Thursday morning, so be watching for that, board members. If you need something on the agenda, please get a hold of me, let me know. I have very little on there, so it should be a fairly quick meeting. And so we'll go from there. Anybody else have anything before we wrap it up for the day? Isla, you need to undo your mute yourself.
Trying. Oh,
there you are.
Okay. I just wanted to say happy birthday to Sharon Nolan. She turned sweet 16 and never been missed yesterday.
And Hal Palmer is 2 days past his birthday.
That's right.
Right, and I'm a dyslexic at 37.
Ooh.
Happy birthday to both of you. Anybody else out there got something? Okay, well, I see a hand. Gina.
Yes, I'd like to remind Steve Patterson to send me induction information for next week's meeting.
What?
Got it.
Thank you.
Thanks, Marilyn.
And Leroy, I sent you an email, so if you wouldn't mind checking and letting me know if it's okay.
Okay, we just sent my. I got that.
All right.
And I might want to.
So Kurt has his hand up.
Let's call Kurt, and then we'll go Cindy.
Yes, a couple of questions on the event on Saturday. I thought we were starting earlier for the biscuits and gravy. And can you give us Bob's number again? I got about half of it written down.
Okay. You're muted, Bob.
On the newsletter.
There you are.
Hello.
Hi, Bob.
Yeah.
You muted yourself again. So Bob's number is 360.
There will be some that will be going over about 8 o'clock to set up. We have some coming at 9, and then at 11:30 will be the shift change. So some will be working the morning and early morning, and then the others will just be working the afternoon session. So haven't really got the times figured out yet. I got to get with the other 3 amigos and decide what time we're doing what.
And your number again, Bob? Your telephone number?
360-355-4575. And if you give me a first shift or early shift or afternoon shift, so I kind of got an idea, and hopefully I can put you where you'd like to work. I might have to twist your arm if we need somebody at a different time.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you. Okay. Oh, Cindy, there you are.
You're on. And I'm making another plea for Castle Rock Lions. They're doing their fireworks. They're getting their coverage, but they're really needing people on the 3rd and 4th. And they're out in Castle Rock, across from this
Red Canoe.
Sheriff's Department.
Red Canoe, yeah. So they still need people on the 3rd and 4th. So if there's someone that wants to, that's available.
Okay.
It's in the newsletter.
In the newsletter. Yep. So that wraps it up. Thank you, Dave, for talking to us today, being our guest. Everybody else, stay healthy, and see the board members on Thursday at noon on the same bat channel. Talk to you guys later. Bye.